Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of This Needs to Be Said. I am your host, Mr. CJ Jones, Mr. TNTBS. And again, I have my very special guest with me, my good friend, my road dog, my homie, Mr. Duane Stinson. How you doing, partner?
Oh, pretty good, my brother.
All
I got
right.
my bow tie on. I'm ready to go.
All right. Okay. Well, we are ready to go. And basically, guys, we're just gonna be talking about just some current topics that had kind of like got our attention. Um, just varying from subject to subject. Just getting my partner's thoughts and views on the different things that's been happening. Um, One of the things that stood out to me the most and the most trendiest topics is we just gonna jump right into this whole thing about Whoopi Goldberg here in a minute about the thing that she said about the Holocaust. But I do want to thank the people that gave us some very good and positive feedback on our last segment talking about trans sexual women in women's sports.
Mhm.
I appreciate that. Surprisingly, we didn't receive any criticism. Um, and I was actually kind of surprised because I was kind of bracing for shock because I thought, that particular topic, not only is it sensitive, but people really get into their feelings and stuff. And especially, when you look at like your higher end platform people, talking about these subjects and stuff, and they catch all kinds of flack from the LGBT, and I'm just gonna say plus because it's too many letters to keep up with, and ain't nobody, trying to disrespect, all the pronouns and stuff. So I just want to say thank you for that. We had a word of encouragement, keep this thing going. They appreciate the perspective from us and different things like that. So that's my personal thank you, Duane. Um, we got reactions and we got compliments, man. What do you say about that?
Right. We just want to be transparent. See, doing this cancel culture, it's a lot of people that's being their tongue being bridled. You know what I'm saying?
Oh
A
yeah,
lot of people that's being, muffled, and you feel like you can't keep it 100% real. And see, that's the difference. That's the problem. We can't have honest and open conversations because we're afraid that we're gonna hurt somebody's feelings. And if
hmm
we ever want to get to the society that we claim to be as America, we always claim to be this melting pot. We always claim to be this big land of opportunity for everybody.
hmm
We have to talk. We have to understand. Hey, bro, you disrespected me. Hey, my
right,
sister, that hurt me what you said. Hey,
right,
white people, sometimes when it comes to racial issues, sometimes listen to us. You know what I'm saying?
right,
Us as black people, when they say, look, I didn't have nothing to do with that. That was my ancestors. Sometimes we gotta say, you know what? They got a point too. So it's always so many objectives and nobody's wrong. You know what I'm saying? That's the thing. Everybody got a different point of view about, and it's the thing I love about the show is we just putting it out there, and we're not saying that we're 100% right, but we're being very transparent, and we're not afraid to speak the truth.
you can't be
So,
afraid, man. See, number
right.
one, I think where we lose ground, and see now, welcome to the world of media. Um,
Mhm.
I didn't even look at myself as being a podcaster until someone actually asked me here recently, like what do I do? And I'm like, well, I used to be in law enforcement and all this other stuff, and I'm like, but wait, I guess, yeah, I guess I am a podcaster now, and it kind of like dawned on me.
Mhm.
What we're doing, guys, is that we are exercising a God-given and constitutional right now. And
Mhm.
just like how you hear and see us, you have that same right. It's the right to the freedom of speech, the freedom of expression, the freedom to practice your religion and different things like that. Now, how do we blur those lines sometimes? Whenever you are expressing yourself, and then you expressing you in yourself in your rights, but then your rights start infringing on someone else's rights. That's how the lines get. So what when these guys wrote the Constitution, it should have came with a little small label outside of, as your society grows and changes, so should the amendments of these rights go. So as an amendment to the first Constitution should have said something like this, in my opinion. When you are exercising your rights, as long as you are not infringing on someone else's right, that is the limit to your rights. Because we all have our rights, and it's a lot of them. They are human rights as well as constitutional rights. But if your right is causing someone else's right to be violated, then it cancels out. That's the quick skinny on it. So let's dive, my brother. You ready to dive into this? All right, okay. So if you happen to be watching my show, if you happen to be watching The View itself, if you happen to be watching the news that did highlights on Whoopi Goldberg's spoken view on The View about her view of what their subject matter was. The subject matter really was talking about this book that was in school, because the far right Republicans are trying to do a lot of moves in the whole cancel culture thing. And one of the things that they are trying to do is cancel out this book called The Mouse, because it depicts the Holocaust and the suffering of it and everything like that. It's a very real book. To us, it's like our version of Roots or something, or Mississippi Burning or something like that. In other words, it shows the ugly. Okay, so with that being said, when Whoopi said that the Holocaust wasn't about race, but it was about humans mistreating humans, she did make my eyebrow go up. She did. Because I was like, yeah, I kind of did like what you just did just now. I'm like, huh? What was that? Like, did I hear that correct? Oh, okay, I get you. See, I had a what moment, and then I had a, oh, okay, I think I see where you're going with that. But what was your initial reaction? Or first of all, did you even hear about it?
I heard about it, but I don't know verbatim what she said.
Okay.
I just know that most people that I heard talk to said it really wasn't that bad. But you gotta understand Whoopi Goldberg. You gotta understand. See, I think Whoopi, people misunderstand. Whoopi is she a real one. And
yes,
sometimes she can be very opinionated. And see, I think maybe what happened was she got too comfortable in the platform that she's in, and she didn't realize that's probably one of the highest rated shows in America. You know what I'm saying? Because you got a equal representation of America on that show, because you got John McCain's daughter who's very, very to the right. I mean, she even supported Trump after Trump said all those horrible things about her dad. I don't understand that at all.
Bro, that's a Republican thing. We gonna talk about it. We definitely gonna talk about it.
Yeah, but like you said, if you could sort of refresh me of what exactly she said.
Okay. All right. Well, exactly what she said was the Holocaust on The View. But then she cleaned it up, and that's why I said I wanted to get your initial response and your initial reaction, because I want for you to have the same cliffhanger the way that her audience had. So when she,
could you tell as soon as she said it? Was it like a
yeah, bro. Listen, because I saw the highlighted part of the view on YouTube, because it came in my news feed. So I was like, canceling Whoopi, what they talking about? And I clicked on it, and I'm like, and so then of course, you know, they're gonna show all the ugliest parts of the highlight. So I just sat back, and she was like, to me, no, she didn't even say to me. She goes, the Holocaust was not about racism. And she kind of like put everybody in like that whole suspenseful like wait. And then it panned across the camera, like panned across the panel. And they had to look like I had to look like, are you going somewhere with this? Or like, because I don't know whether to clap, support, or sit back and be like, like I didn't know what to do with my hands. So I was like, and then she goes, it was about humans mistreating humans. Cliffhanger. So I was like,
so that's all she said?
In that moment. Because that's what went viral. And that's what caused her to go on her reflection for 2 weeks. So her suspension, her immediate suspension for 2 weeks.
So the one that sits right beside her that really agrees with her a lot, I think she's Jewish, I think.
Yeah.
Joy Behar.
I
think Joy Behar.
Is it Joy?
I'm not sure.
I think it's
Joy.
I think her name, because I called her Joyce, but I think it's Joy. And then the blonde chick, she's your
she's McCain's daughter.
No. You're thinking about.
Oh, you're talking about the younger. Right. Yeah.
And then Sonny, that's the lawyer. And then of course, you know, you had Megan, but then thank God they replaced Megan with the Latina woman. I forget her name, but she's wonderful to listen to.
Yeah.
She can be a conservative all she wants to, because at least she ain't thrown. Anyway, like I said, we'll touch on that here in just a little bit. All right, so I was kind of dumbfounded there for a moment, and so I'm gonna try. So I'm going through the internet. I'm trying to research. Like, come on, it has to be more to it than this. Like, you know, so I'm looking for like the actual show. I'm looking for the actual, you know, unedited version of what happened. And so then I found a longer clip and then of it, but that's pretty much what she said on The View. Now, once she said it, they said, oh, well, immediately, you know, she got this big, you know, backlash from it, and people were calling for her resignation. I was, of course, and everything. And of course, you're gonna do a black woman like that. That's expected. We get it. We know. So,
and then you gotta understand what community you offended too.
Right.
The Jewish community.
Now, see, listen. Now, I'm gonna put a big old mirror up here in just a second. Anyway, so I got I found the more extended video of it. I'm sorry, guys. So I found the more extended version of it. And then, like I said, it wasn't too much different from The View, but then she went on, I want to say like a Colbert show or someone that has like a similar show to what they're doing. And then she gave the explanation on his show. And I'm like, Whoopi, you should have did that from the very start, because other than that, because I admire her so much as her being like the main voice of reason and being the referee and the mediator and the equalizer of the show. I thought that she would be a little bit more articulate when it came to that viewpoint. And so on that show, she was basically breaking it down. I'm like, baby girl, you should have started out like that. You should have said, number one, this is not The view isn't a reflection of how you think, but it's a personal reflection. It's a Whoopi Goldberg of reflection of this. And I think it was a combination of racism and human versus human, stuff like that. And she gave the example of racism being looked at literally from a skin point of view. And she said that, you know, if her and her Jewish friend was standing outside, a group of KKK people comes down the street, just by them looking at two people, Whoopi automatically knows that she's going to be target number one. They won't know right off the bat, not right off the bat, that her friend is Jewish or not, because they're looking at a person that is similar to how they're looking. And I'm like, baby girl, that's what you should have said from the start on The View. Now, so what happened? After she was educated about Jews in the Jewish community and everything, and about the Holocaust and what it was about and everything, hell, we learned about that in school. At least I thought we did, because that's how I learned about it. It was definitely about race. That's all it was about. Because Hitler was saying that he wanted a nation of people with blue eyes and blonde hair, even though he was. So anyway, because he saw him as being the superior race, the Aryan race. That's why you get skinheads and Ku Klux Klan and stuff like that. That's where all of that Aryan pride and stuff like that come from. And they got the swastika is like a Christian's cross. That's what they believe in. The blonde hair, the blue eye, that whole we are the supreme race, in which there is no such thing as the supreme race. That's just that rhetoric that came from Nazi Germany, Hitler. So,
but let me ask you this. So was he killing quote unquote white people that didn't have blonde hair and blue eyes?
Yep.
Or was it? So even if they wasn't Jewish.
No, yes, they are. Now, see, here's the thing. This is how things get skewed. And it took the Oprah show for people to really understand it and actually look at it. I'm going to take you back in the early 90s, whenever Oprah is on. You know, this is back when everybody was rushing back to home to watch Oprah on TV about 3:30. And do you remember she had a panel of white people on her show? And the title of her show was Racist People That Are Really Black and Didn't Know It. Because this is when everybody was finding out, this is when some white people themselves that couldn't stand or swallow the idea of being around black people, but yet and still through their lineage come to find out that themselves, black blood runs through their family. Even though they come out as pale as my top right now, you know, as bright as my light, you're black. Technically, you're black, and you're black blood. So, and then that blew up. So, just in other words, one thing that we all have to understand is we all come from the motherland. Okay, and all of us Africans, there is an array of different tones. You can, like I said, I've seen Africans, take it from a Navy sailor. I've been around this world about 3 or 4 times, okay? And on both coasts. You have African descent from as black as my table, black as my background here. We used to call it blue black back in the day. To people that are, oh my God, what's the actress? Charlize Theron. She's African.
You talking about albino? Albino?
the African, yeah, to flat out albino. But I'm just saying is that I'm talking hair color, eye color, body shape, the whole 9 yards. I went to Spain. I'll give you an example. I went to Spain. I went to Barcelona, shopping around. I'm thinking that I'm looking at an American woman. She built like one, dressed like one, looked like one. Blonde hair, blue eyes. Now, I just assumed by looking at her that she was an American. The woman didn't speak not one lick of English at all. The sales associate behind the counter realized that I am American, and I was just saying hello, how are you? Are you next? Something like that. And then she had to speak to her in Spanish to let her know that I was a paying customer and she needed her to move up to the side because they evidently were like personal friends. And my mouth hit the floor. That was my culture shock. And from that, I'm gonna give you one more example. I went down to Panama, Central America, came across whom I thought was just another brother from around the way. I'm talking about look like you and I. I'm talking beard, nappy head, hood type clothing. I'm just coming through and everything, speaking. And I'm like, hey man, what's up? Like you down here for a little bit and everything? He's like, hola, ¿cómo estás? Whatever. And I'm just like, huh? What? Huh? What? Thought it was a brother. So what am I really saying? You really don't know and you really can't tell who is really who. So yes,
that's why when you first explained to me what she said, I don't watch The View, but I see clips of it and whatnot. I already assumed that's where she was going with it when she said it's not about racism, it's about people treating people badly. Because like you said, if you really want to be technical, we're all one human race. You know what I'm saying? Because we all came from the same beginnings, and different regions cause different people to look different ways and whatnot. And with that particular situation, me and you, when we walk into a room, sometimes Jewish people have different characteristics. Sometimes, maybe their nose is shaped different ways, maybe their hair color, maybe their skin is a little bit darker.
Jews that we're used to looking at, yeah.
But a lot of times, they just look like white people. You know what I'm saying? They're just like white people to us. And so, with the Holocaust, at its root, it was about humans treating other people badly. Actually, at its root, that's what racism is, as far as towards Black people. That's what slavery was. It was people treating people badly. But like you said, she sort of misspoke on the platform that she was on because, you got a lot of people hanging on to every word you say.
Right.
And with a topic like that,
right.
That's just like, I guess, like you say, say for somebody would have said the same thing to us. Slavery wasn't about racism. It was about people treating people badly.
Right. In other words, and that was the offense. The offense was, hey, don't downplay our suffering. Okay, well, here come the mirror, ladies and gentlemen. Are you ready? Here come the big old fat, nasty elephant. How do you think we feel when you downplay our Black lives not mattering? I'm pausing for effect. I'll wait.
Talk to him.
How do you think we feel whenever we are 400 years going and our people are still being mistreated and it's pushed to the side like, hey, forget that. Let that go. That wasn't that bad. It wasn't me. But then all for about maybe a year, maybe a year or two during a short span of time during Trump's administration. You had Asians getting attacked and Asians being uh, um, just mistreated and everything. Everybody heart broke in America and was like, hey, that ain't right. We need a law. And then boom, here
They
comes
got
the
an
law.
executive order. Didn't they get an executive order?
To this day, we cannot get an anti-lynching law. Tell me why.
Right.
I'll wait.
I heard it's been, I don't want to misquote, but it's been a lot of anti-lynching laws been put towards, trying to get them passed, and none of them over the years, none of them.
I just say, and it's not for the lack of trying. It's not for the lack of trying. So what is the root of America is really, really saying? We don't give a damn about Black people, period. You only came this far because you have exposed us. And we don't want to look bad in front of everybody else that has now access to look at America's ugly. So now, for the sake of image and reputation, we'll start treating you a little better. But you know what time it is. It's kind of like having that parent with that child that's showing out. You know what I'm saying? That parent is like looking at them like, okay, you think you got away with it right now, but you wait till I get you home. That's the way. That's why we say we live in two Americas. There's white America, and then there's Black America. So on the surface,
there's white America, and then there's everybody else. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I mean, it's
exactly.
white.
There's white America and everybody.
Minority,
I like how you said.
Yeah, it's got other races lumped in with us, but I think that it's a consensus that even the other minorities sort of look down on us because of what they've heard and what they've seen in the propaganda and, the way we've been portrayed in history and the way we portrayed on the news and movies, media, sometimes the way we present ourselves in music or, or in certain things that we do, which other people do too, but it's sort of put under the microscope when we do it, And, and let me ask you this, how did you feel about the backlash about, now I don't know how you feel about Black Lives Matter movement as a whole, but I was sort of taken aback when we couldn't even say Black Lives Matter without people saying, well, why are you alienating? You know what I'm saying? Why are you better than us? Are you better than any other life? No, what we were trying to say at that moment was, and at that moment it was needed. A movement was needed. I mean, it seemed like the police shootings was at an all-time high. It seemed like we was marching and protesting, nothing wasn't being done. Colin Kaepernick was trying to do his thing and protest, and he was being blackballed and told to shut up. And when they came up with the title, no matter, I know a lot of people that don't agree with some of the things that's been done within the movement of Black Lives Matter, but just the name alone, people actually complained because we didn't say all lives matter. They say, well, you alienating.
Basically, okay, all that is what they call in the world of media and news and stuff like that. It's called a red herring, and I actually had to look that up because, like I said, I'm a babe when it comes to some terminologies and stuff like that people use. But so I'm not ashamed to tell anybody and everybody that I'm well into my 40s and I'm just not understanding what a red herring is. So not to assume that you know or don't know, and not trying to insult you if you did know. What a red herring is just another terminology to say it's a distraction to keep you from being focused on what you got to do. So in other words, I'm sitting up here telling you that my house is on fire, but then you saying, but what about my house? It was on fire. Yeah, is it put out? Okay, good to go. My house is on fire right now.
Mm-hmm.
I need help today, right now, in the moment.
Mm-hmm.
So how do I feel? How
Mm-hmm.
do I feel about it? How did I feel about it? Like now, I'm all about my Black Lives Mattering because it does. I have a legacy. I have multiple children, and I'm a granddad. So yeah. So
Mm-hmm.
I want for
Me
people
too.
to exactly. So I want when people look at you and I to realize, go like, hey, wait a minute. They are valuable to society. They have something to say. They have something to add. They have something that we can
Mm-hmm.
learn from, and
Right.
vice versa. Um,
Right.
we are well overdue for
Mm-hmm.
us to be taken seriously across the board, for our lives to actually mean something outside of just filling up a statistic line of another one bites the dust, you know,
Mm-hmm.
or there go them N words again, back to doing their thing, because
Mm-hmm.
it really didn't start with I just didn't wake up one day and then just realize, hey, something is uh wrong here. It was only until I got into law enforcement this world became more into my view.
Mm-hmm.
Because before then, I didn't have any opinions or any thoughts at all. Because even though I grew up on the hood side of town, I was already conditioned and programmed to know how to act and not act around white people, and how to act and survive, and I do mean survive, a police officer.
Mm-hmm.
I knew to code switch. That's right. I said, so for our audience, if you don't know what code switching is, it's pretty much what we're doing right now. I'm not using a whole lot of street jargon. I'm not um, talking like I'm just with one of my boys hanging out, like in the hood.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'm
Mm-hmm.
talking to it hopefully at a level to where the general the generally educated can hear, see, and understand, using full sentences, enunciating and pronouncing all of my words. In other words, talking like I have some sense. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So in the hood, they call that code switching. Okay. But
Mm-hmm.
it's not code switching. What you're doing is that you are adapting and adjusting to your environment. In the military, that's what we push you to do: adapt,
Mm-hmm.
adjust, and overcome.
Mm-hmm.
That's across the board. When you step into the world of the military, that's the first thing. That's those core values that we try to instill into you, outside of
Mm-hmm.
encouraging commitment. Adjust, in other words, is not about you. Adapt, take it on, put it in your tool belt for you to use later. And overcome, teach it to someone else so you can grow from it. Go and grow from it. So
Okay.
adjust, adapt, overcome, move on with your life. So when I think about Black Lives Matter as the group, of course the group itself get flack and everything, and it's real easy to attack one group versus the other. But whenever I have these conversations with my white friends, like my white counterparts, stuff like that, what I try to tell them is that the group you can attack all day. I don't even really mess with the group. It's the
Mm-hmm.
movement itself, because I'm a man of principle. I'm about the movement. And the movement that's what holds the ground. That's what'll keep this wheel going and turning. When people can actually focus on the movement, the purpose, the point, the principle.
Right.
That's
I'm gonna be very transparent right now.
how.
And you know, my wife got me a shirt, not this Christmas, but last Christmas. It says, it's got Black Lives Matter on this gray with Black Lives Matter on the front with the fist, you know, how the logo looks.
Mhm.
I have not worn that shirt in public. Not because I don't agree with it, but because the controversy that comes with it, you know what I'm saying? I won't say I'm ashamed because I live my life, and anybody who talks to me, I'm gonna keep it real, white, black. I'm gonna keep it real with how I feel about certain things. But just what comes with the movement and the arguments and all, I just haven't worn it out. And I mean, I don't feel bad about it, but in a way I do, because I really agree with the movement. But it's just like, I don't know. I think when people see that logo,
Kind of feel like a rebel or something.
Yeah.
Do you feel like a rebel?
I guess. I mean,
like, okay, like back in the day, we would be like, okay, like you're a rebel without a cause. No, actually, the more correct view on that would be you're a rebel without understanding and purpose. Because once you understand what the movement,
I'll be right back. You keep talking.
Yes,
I'll be right back.
Yes, sir. So like once an individual understands what is the point of a particular group or movement or whatever, then you're more comfortable in supporting it. And this is why we are constantly always trying to encourage our viewers, even if you are coming across this show for the very first time, this is your first time watching this. The whole point of This Needs to Be Said, and this is a segment of This Needs to Be Said. This is Elephant Exposed. If you follow us on our fan page, you will see a depiction of an elephant, and you will see 6 figures around this elephant. And around this elephant are 6 men that are blind, and I believe they have blindfolders on. And the reason why that symbol is for us, me and Mrs. TNTBS, Catherine Jones, is that it puts into perspective what the world really is about. And we're giving you a platform to express your part of the elephant that you think that is the elephant. In other words, humbly putting it, no one person truly has the correct answer, but we all have a perspective from touching that elephant blindfolded. One person might be touching the tail of that elephant and saying, this is an elephant because it's just long, it's so wide, and it's flimsy, and it's something hairy at the bottom. Another person could be touching the leg of the elephant. Wide, kind of ripply, strong, sturdy. Someone could be underneath the elephant, touching the belly. Long, smooth, wide, it's massive. You know, another person could be touching the trunk. Another person could be touching the ear. Nobody is wrong about the elephant. But in my mind's eye, if those 6 blind individuals was to get together, calm down enough, and say, you know what? Let me open my mental eye and say, okay, well, I do know what's right here in front of me because that's all I know. Even though I can't see it, I can smell it and I can feel it. And I know that this elephant is large this way. And another person say, well, the elephant is large this way, up and down, vertical, whatever. Another person's like, well, I got something long and flimsy, and I got something long and strong, and then someone is touching the tusk of it. we all get together, we realize that none of us is wrong with what we are actually dealing with. But if we all get together, we can agree that this is just one big, gigantic animal. And collectively, we can actually get a more focused picture as to what we are talking about. So, with that being said, that's how we came up with this platform with Elephant Exposed, because we want to invite you to be comfortable in your perspective. We're not trying to change your view, just like I'm pretty sure that people get locked into their own views. But we try to create a platform to where if you have a different perspective, if you have a different way of looking at these hard to talk about topics, these topics that are make you feel uncomfortable or whatnot, that this is the place to do it at. So with that being said, we will respect your point of view. We will actually talk about your point of view, and we will give you the space and the time to get your thoughts across. And if it's something, and I believe that even if it's in a even if it's something that I disagree with strongly, I can still appreciate why you may think the way you think, and hopefully that can be reciprocated. You can understand and at least respect the idea of you understand why I think the way that I think. And it's all about education. It's all about education, be it formal or informal. No two persons live the same identical life. Like what happened to our lady, Whoopi Goldberg. She became yet another martyr of cancel culture, because the first thing that people want to do is kill your show, cut you out, take money out your pockets, you know, uh, crucify this person that said this bad, insensitive, unthought out thing. She was speaking from a perspective that she obviously needed to have to be more versed in. Well, just because you have access doesn't mean that you have accessed that information. She still was voicing her opinion. It was her opinion. It's what she thought. You can't just go around canceling people's shows, taking money out of their pockets and stuff, just because they have a different opinion. She's not a Holocaust expert. She only knows Whoopi's lifestyle. She only knows, now that's who she's the expert of. She's the expert of Whoopi Goldberg and Whoopi Goldberg experiences. And for us to have, and I say us because I'm in media. So for us to have crucified her and called to take money out of her pocket and all these other stuff, and and then the person that was really responsible for her, I forget the woman's name. I think her name started out with a K or Kim or something like that. She's like the president of like the ABC network or whatnot. She suspended Whoopi so quick that even after the apologies and different things like that, she doubled down on her suspension by saying, well, just take this time off to just reflect. First of all, that's not a 3-year-old kid that just did something wrong. She's late 60, if I make no mistake. And Whoopi, I apologize if I misgauged your age, but I know she's my senior, and she is well versed in life. You don't have to go to a timeout for the sake of a couple people crying. I believe that Whoopi's following is way too thick and way too strong for something like this to happen. And that's why the backlash got backlash, because we were like, okay, so besides you canceling her and shutting her down and taking money out of her pocket, she already apologized. It was very sincere. She actually spoke with the president of the Jewish committee. I forget the name of the community. I only know it when someone said it. But he was like, I accept her apology. It was very sincere. And we had a very sincere conversation. Everything. I mean, he had his own show about her show and about their conversation. So I was like, okay, cool. So get her back on the show. She's like, oh no, this is just a time for her to sit back and reflect. Okay, see.
You know what they call that? They call that action.
You call it what?
A knee-jerk reaction. A knee-jerk reaction.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
When you see something and you don't take into consideration the person that it's coming from, because if you took that into consideration, you already know she's not gonna come from no type of angle of disrespect or racism or separatism, sexism, nothing like that.
Right.
So that was one of those, oh, she said the word Jewish in it. Wait a minute, we got to hurry up and jump on top of this. We got to suspend her right away.
Anti-Semitism, anti-Semitism. And
right.
it wasn't even anti-Semitic. It wasn't,
right.
in my opinion. She was trying to go deep, just like Nick Cannon.
Exactly.
Just like Nick Cannon. In my opinion, it was not anti-Semitic. That's just like, to us, everything ain't racism either. Not everything. But because it hit the ears of Black people, or because it hit the ears of Jewish people, then it's, oh, everybody's freaking out. They was trying to be deep. That's what I say.
She was trying to make us. She was trying to make us
trying to be deep, but without giving. Number one, I believe she made the mistake in assuming that the audience that she talks to can understand her in-depthness. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So it was what it was. But speaking of racism, anti-Semitism, all this other stuff, we're gonna talk about it just a little bit. I want to try to get it in because we were running up on our hour. And I appreciate you riding with me on this one.
Hey, sometimes real life happens on live recording, so you don't have to.
Yeah.
Have to take care of
hey, look, stuff. It's a part of the show. It's the part of the show, and we gonna roll.
Yeah. So, I know you did your thing though. I know. I can hear you. I was like, yeah, he in there preaching. So
now, sometimes like and you know what? I not only do I do it for the people, I do it for myself too, because it helps reground me for me to understand the purpose of Elephant Exposed. Yeah, we're gonna talk about serious topics. We're gonna talk about hard topics, but we're also gonna have fun and different things like that. We're gonna learn. We're gonna keep our minds open, and we're gonna adjust, adapt, and overcome. So, let's talk a little bit about what's going on with this January 6th committee. I don't know if you stay abreast as to what's going on. I try not to get too caught up in it, because like once I get focused in on something, I'm just like, I'm like a pit bull. But what's going on in a nutshell, is that those elephants are starting to be exposed now. So you have this January 6th committee is what they're called, but basically it's just like a board that is really dedicated to looking into what happened with this insurrection January 6th. You got your extreme right, the Republicans, the conservatives that are basically trying to downplay it, like how they try to downplay our Black Lives Mattering. And then on the left, you just got people over there, Democrats are just saying, hey, expose them all, whatever, whatever the case may be. Now, I don't care where you stand. I don't care whether you're red. I don't care whether you're blue. Bruh, man, it's purple. Because I don't like either one of the parties. However, I am the party of right.
Right.
I am the party of right.
Not right wing.
Right. Right. I'm not of the right wing. I no. And I'm not in full support of the BS and the slow-footedness of the Democrats either. So you got one that's running really, really fast and trying to do all these things, trying to fool you. Hey, don't believe what you see. And then over here on the left, you got the slow and stupid. So in my opinion, they're all crap. they're both crap. But you gotta watch both of them.
You do.
A fair picture as to what's going on. So so Trump and his cronies are starting, well, they've been started with his cronies. And of course, it's what in the media, again, for those of us who's not very versed, they call it low-hanging fruit, the easiest targets to hit, because that's how you start. So when you start to destroy something in the media, you go for the easy targets to get to the bigger, harder target. So, for the people that is like really impatient, being like, why don't they just get Trump? Why don't they just lock him up? And that's because he's big. Okay. And what makes him big? His money. That's what makes him big. His notoriety. His I want to say 100 million or something like that. Anyway, he's not a small potato guy. And therefore, when it takes money to fight money. So therefore, you got to do it smart. So they get all the little ones. And then after a while, those little ones, you start collecting them. What happens to pennies when you start to collect them? They start to get heavy. Now you can take those pennies and turn them into dollars. That's how the government operates, guys. So patience is the key. We're so used to, right now. That's why he's the only president in the history of the United States that have been impeached twice.
Right.
Because too fast, too slow, he kind of wiggled out of it. But it's just like, Rittenhouse. That's who I was trying to think of in the last show. Kyle.
Hey, it just hit you just now.
It just hit. Oh, that's bad. I had a scene.
I know the listeners like, what just happened? What just happened?
Kyle Rittenhouse. That was the young white man that on the criminal side of the house, he has been exonerated from his killing in the taking life of two people and almost a third. However, and I said it that last time we spoke on it, and I'm saying it right now too. Just because the gavel was hit and said, you're free to go, it doesn't really make you free. Because now we can go back and reference the cases of, let's use our own person, O.J. Simpson. Okay?
In the public eye.
It is what it is.
Right.
Okay? He got off. Kyle Rittenhouse. He got off. George Zimmerman. He got off. Or Zimmerman. George Zimmerman. He got off. The killers of Emmett Till, they got off. Just because you got off doesn't mean that you're still not guilty.
Right.
Did I blow your mind? So, anyway, guys, patience with this whole January committee thing. They are just now starting to get to the larger fish, you know, the branches of the tree. So if you want to say they got the hanging fruit, now we're going up the branches now. Eventually, I do believe, and I want to believe that the twice impeached, twice disgraced 45th president will be ultimately held accountable. They have the technology, they have the resources, and it's just all a matter of time. What do you think, Dick?
I sure hope so. I mean, I think it would be a very good example being set for future candidates, future. I think it would go a long way as far as to really show America that we're not going to stand for the rhetoric and things that he did in front of the whole. I mean, what he did when that speech that he made right before the insurrection that pretty much riled him up, and then when he tried to the Atlanta official, he tried to put pressure on him to do the recount. He was just like a gangster. He was just like a gangster in office, and he was just doing it in front of everybody, and it was just like, you can't touch me. Everybody around this guy has gone to prison. So many people. It's like a soap opera. It's like a Tyler Perry movie. Like seriously. And it's real life. And he just took so many intelligent people that were way more intelligent than him. And just because he was a Republican, or just because he represented a certain status or whatever, he just dumbed them down. You know what I'm saying? I mean, like you said, I don't care. I don't care if it's a black president, Democrat, whatever. I'm still gonna stand up when I see something like that, like the insurrection, like we talked about. That was one of the most patriotic moments I had. I was like, oh, get him. You know, I just couldn't wait for them to be arrested. And to be honest with you, I thought they was gonna start shooting.
Exactly.
When none of that happened,
and I was very surprised that only one. Well, as far as the firepower that I know that those Capitol Police officers have, and then to only have the one civilian casualty because she was so much of a Trumpite. Matter of fact, she was a QAnon. So she was like a Trump times two. So yeah, because they are like way out there. But he knew what he was doing. In school, we know who they are too. They're called instigators. And see, I come from a world that whenever my dad was teaching my brother and I how to handle social indifferences and stuff, and he goes, son, he goes, there's always an instigator in a situation. If you ever find yourself, you know, in a he said, she said battle, he goes, you don't so much worry about the person that you're facing, because they're letting you know how they feel and think. He goes, you get that one that started it all. And more than likely, they'll be in the background, you know, trying to take their hands out of it because they realize that they started something they should have never started. And that's your Trump. That's your Trump. That's your, who was that crazy man back in the day? Oh my gosh, I can't think of his name, but he had like the swastika in his forehead, long hair. He had like this hippie thing going on. And
Charles Manson.
There you go. Him. He himself never really killed anybody, but it was followers that did. That's your Trump of today.
Right, you're right.
Trump is not, he ain't that stupid. The man is not stupid, okay? He's a great marketer. He's a good advertiser, a very good bullshitter. But he will not personally get his hands dirty
Mm-mm.
And as long as people are drinking his Kool-Aid,
The Jim Jones.
huh? Yeah,
The Jim
yeah.
Jones. Yeah.
Um, they're gonna do this. That's why you have your Marjorie Taylor Greens and your Tucker Carlsons and your band of misfits on Fox News and stuff like that, because he generates money, because he draws the views. The more views, the more money, the more sponsorships. That's what it's all about. It's all about that mighty dollar. So anyway.
And one more thing, I think it's important to kill this type and to swat this type of fly, swat this type of and deter this type of behavior in government, in our government, because we're supposed to be a democracy. And for one man to rile up people like he did, and have people ready to kill and burn and do anything. I mean, I know that had to be a rush for him, because we all know that he's an egotistical type of guy. He's just a egomaniac. And so I know that power had to be, at his age, I think he was 70-some years old, feeble, always been, I'm just saying myself, never been considered really unattractive. Think about it. Before Trump started, what was the biggest thing about Trump? We picked at his hair, how his hair was terrible, like the worst wig ever. I mean, he got money, but other than that, you would never, he was not a person that you respected when he entered the room. A lot of people got money. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people got way more money than him. Right. But for him to develop that kind of following and to have that kind of unbridled power over people willing to kill and do things against their morals. They said they was for the police. Well, they actually killed a policeman in that insurrection. They said they was for America. Well, they disrespected America doing that. You know what I'm saying? And so everything that they had been preaching the whole time, if he give you the okay, that's out the door. So I think that, to answer your question, I think it would go a long way in America for us to show you can't do this. Don't try it again. You know what I'm saying? Don't try this, because if you do this, because basically the Russia thing, the guy, I forgot the one that did the 2-year investigation on the Russia, his interaction. He pretty much proved what Trump did, and still nothing happened to him. Still nothing happened. So he was almost like a monster, like untouchable, like the Godfather. That's really what me and my friends were talking about. He's a gangster. He's really a gangster in the office, really.
Right, because basically what he did, I mean, his whole point, I mean, even from the whole entire time that Obama was in the office, he was just simply just making a mockery of our government, how it's ran, how it's set up. We all know, or at least I would like to think so. So I am giving us a little bit of credit here to understand about the role of the president. The role of the president is, outside of him being the most powerful person as far as responsibility and accountability goes, it's a dog and pony show. You look a certain way, you handle a certain way, you speak a certain way, you actually hold your hands and talk, and you model yourself, because that was the footprint that was laid out over the span of these presidencies. So all the way up until from number 1 to 44 were your models. As to say, okay, that's a president. I didn't vote for him, but that's a president. I didn't like him, but that's a president. I don't agree, but that was presidential. Because it was a certain look. Just like when you step out in society, people or other veterans, they call me out all the time. I don't know, I look and I hold myself like I was active duty, but a certain kind of person will come up to me and be like, how long did you serve? And I'm like, I ain't got on my uniform, because it's the way that I carry myself. It's an energy or something like that. Same thing with Christian believers or something. It's something about people's energies. It's something about a certain image that different groups are known for, that like after a while you just get so used to looking at that image, and then people just assume, okay, boom, well, you must be this, you must be that, because you look like, you walk like, you talk like. So back in the day, what we used to say, look like a duck, walk like a duck, talk like a duck, must be a duck.
Mhm.
So when you sitting up here, you can crowd all around, you can corral all around Trump all you want to, be like, Trump ain't a racist. Oh, okay, well, he's supported by racists. He has a racist following, and everything he do is connected back to racists. So I don't know, kind
Yeah.
of hard to not call him not to be a racist when
Right.
when that is definitely a very strong base that he has.
Mhm.
He knows how
Mhm.
to corral them. He knows how to get them
Mhm.
going and everything else. But guys, first of all, I'm going to go ahead. Before I wrap this up, I want to thank my very special guest again, Mr. Duane Stinson. I appreciate your commentation and you coming and you doing this show with me.
Oh
I
yeah,
know.
no question.
Thank you, man. I really do appreciate it. You make it the flow easy, man. And so I'm looking forward to chopping up with you again about some other topics. And there's always injustices in the world, so we can always, maybe next time we'll get a reaction video
Mhm.
going, and you and I can look at it for the first time together, and we just shoot from the hip from there. How about that?
Hey, that's cool. As long as we I love doing the show because, like you said, this is the way to really be an activist. You know what I'm saying? You can be an you know what I'm saying, and you can reach people a little bit more. I mean, you can go out there and protest and do things too, but this is the way to still affect change, you know what I'm saying, and still not be so rigid that you can't, see other people's points of view, but to not be quiet, not go easily into the night. I forgot where that came from, but
No, that was
you
perfect.
know, right. You know what I'm
Right,
saying? And
right.
so
No, that was perfectly quoted. Yeah,
anytime you need me, I'm gonna be here. We're gonna keep it real. We might
yeah.
not
I
might not
appreciate.
see everything people want to hear,
Yes,
but
sir. And
we're
and
gonna
that's
keep
the
it real.
and that's the whole point of this platform, is to give people a voice. And like I was saying, and I know you had to take care of some business, but it's okay. It's life. That's what happens, and especially
Mhm.
whenever you know we're doing these type things. Um, so I'm looking forward to having you back. Looking forward to doing reaction, and we want to get even more people on this show. And eventually, we can just hear someone else's opinion. Even if they don't even agree with us.
Right.
Um, I know on most of the topics we do agree, but like I said, um, different views are important. I know that you were not present whenever I had spoke about the six blind figure guys touching the elephant. But it's all about perspective, and that's why
Mhm.
that elephant logo works for us,
Mhm.
because we are trying to let people know that even though we may not agree with you and we don't have your viewpoint, at least we are willing to listen and hear what you got to say. So with that, guys, being said, that's a wrap for us. We're gonna catch you next week. Y'all take care. Y'all be good, okay?
Peace.